Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to see you all here today. Today, we're starting our journey into development with this first slide. This is the lecture home at the Institute of Professional Studies. We'll be exploring Chapter 1, which sets the foundation for our learning. In this presentation, I'll guide you through the key concepts, principles, and ideas that will help you understand development better. So, let's get started and make this an engaging and insightful session. Welcome to Lecture 2 from the Institute of Professional Studies. Today, we're going to explore the concept of development. Generally, development is understood as growth not just in size or numbers, but also in terms of improving basic needs like education, health, and lifestyle. It's about progress that enhances people's quality of life. However, it's important to recognize that different individuals or communities may have different ideas about what development means to them. What one person considers progress might not be the same for someone else. Sometimes, what is development for one group can even be harmful or destructive to another. So, as we discuss development, keep in mind that it's a highly subjective concept, shaped by personal goals and societal values. This idea of varied perspectives will be central as we move forward in understanding the broader implications of development across different contexts. Welcome to the third slide of our presentation. Here, we're exploring the idea that each of us seeks different things in life. It's natural. People have unique desires and priorities that they pursue to fulfill their individual needs. But what's interesting is that sometimes these pursuits can conflict. For example, imagine a girl who wants as much freedom and opportunities as her brother, and she also expects him to share equally in household chores. Their goals may be different, and that can lead to conflicting interests. Similarly, development isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. What benefits one person or group might not benefit another. Take an industrialist who wants to build more dams for electricity. This might be good for economic growth, but for the people displaced by such projects, it could be a source of resentment. This highlights an important point. The development goals of different groups, whether individuals, communities, or sectors, often differ. Recognizing this helps us understand that development is a complex, multidimensional process, influenced by varying perspectives and interests. It's a key concept as we look at how to balance these diverse needs in our pursuit of progress. Today, I want to talk about what people truly desire in their lives. Essentially, what most people want is regular work, better wages, and fair prices for the crops or other products they produce. In simple terms, they are looking for more income. Money plays a crucial role because it helps us meet our daily needs and buy the things we desire. But it's not just about the basics. Money also empowers us. It gives us the freedom and security to maintain a good quality of life. Having a decent income is essential for survival, yes, but it also allows us to pursue our goals and improve our living standards. So, when we talk about income and other related goals, we're really focusing on how financial stability impacts every aspect of our lives and our ability to thrive. Welcome to Slide 5. Today, we're focusing on the concept of national development. So, what exactly is it? Essentially, it's a country's ability to improve the living standards of its residents. When we talk about development, different people might have varying perspectives on what it truly means. For the most part, though, national development involves making life better for citizens. This includes providing basic needs like food, education, social services, and medical aid. It also involves increasing the per capita income, which basically means boosting the average income of each person in the country. All these aspects, better living conditions, access to essentials, and higher income levels, are what we refer to as national development. It's a vital part of our overall discussion because it shows how countries can grow and improve the quality of life for everyone. Remember, development isn't just about economic growth. It's about holistic progress that benefits the entire population. Welcome to Lecture Home from the Institute of Professional Studies. Today, let's talk about national income. National income is essentially the total value of all goods and services produced within a country over a year. It gives us a snapshot of the economic activity happening in that country. However, it's important to remember that because different countries have different population sizes, we can't rely solely on national income to make comparisons between countries. A larger country might have a higher total income simply because it has more people, not necessarily a better standard of living. So, while national income is a useful indicator of economic output, we need to be cautious when using it to compare countries directly. It's a key concept that helps us understand the overall economic health, but always remember the context of population differences. Welcome to Slide 7. Here, we're focusing on the concept of per capita income, which is also known as average income. This term refers to a country's total earnings divided by its entire population. Essentially, it gives us an idea of the average income of each person in the country. This measure is very important because it helps us understand the living standards of the citizens. When the per capita income is high, it generally indicates a higher standard of living, better access to goods and services, and overall economic well-being. Conversely, a lower per capita income often points to lower living standards and potential economic challenges. By analyzing this figure, we can compare different countries or regions to see how well off their populations are. It's a useful indicator for assessing economic development and planning policies aimed at improving people's quality of life. So, in summary, per capita income is a key metric that reflects the average economic prosperity of a country's citizens, and understanding it is fundamental when we're discussing economic health and development. Lecture Home Institute of Professional Studies. If we consider per capita income in the context of a country's development, it provides a useful measure of the average economic well-being of its citizens. When we look at this metric across different states, Goa stands out as the most developed. That means, on average, the people living in Goa have a higher income level compared to other states. Conversely, Bihar ranks as the least developed state in India in terms of per capita income. This highlights the significant disparities that exist within the country, emphasizing how economic development isn't uniform across regions. Understanding these differences is crucial because it helps us see where targeted efforts for growth and development are needed the most. This also ties back to the overall theme of regional development and the importance of inclusive growth for the nation. Let's talk about how the average income can sometimes be misleading when we look at disparities. Even if the average income of a country seems high, it might hide significant inequalities in the distribution of wealth. For example, a small group of people might earn very high incomes, which raises the overall average, but this doesn't reflect the reality for the rest of the population. So, the average can give us a general idea, but it doesn't tell the full story about income equality. Remember, the average income is calculated by dividing the total income of the country by the total population. It's a useful measure, but we need to be cautious because it can mask the disparities that exist beneath the surface. This is why understanding the distribution of income is just as important as knowing the average. It ties into our overall theme of examining economic fairness and social equity. Welcome to the lecture home at the Institute of Professional Studies. Here, we emphasize the importance of a dedicated learning environment that supports our educational goals. The lecture home serves as a central hub where students can access resources, participate in discussions, and engage deeply with the material. It's designed to foster a community of learners who are committed to professional growth. This space aligns with our overall theme of providing quality education and practical skills that prepare students for real-world challenges. By creating an organized and accessible learning environment, we aim to enhance student engagement and facilitate effective knowledge transfer. Ultimately, the lecture home is a vital component of our institute's mission to cultivate competent and confident professionals. Let's take a closer look at the Lecture Home Institute of Professional Studies. Here, we're focusing on the total number of children in the 14-year age group who are attending the school. This figure helps us understand how many children in that specific age range are actually enrolled. Next, we compare this number to the overall percentage of children in the same age group across the population. This comparison gives us valuable insight into how well the school is reaching its target demographic relative to the broader community. Now, moving on to the net attendance ratio. This is a key indicator because it reflects the proportion of children in the age group who are genuinely attending school out of those who are supposed to be enrolled. Understanding the net attendance ratio helps us evaluate the effectiveness of the school's outreach and the engagement of students. By analyzing these figures together, we can better assess the school's coverage and identify areas where we might improve access or retention. This ties back into our overall goal of understanding educational accessibility and ensuring every child has the opportunity to learn and grow. Let's talk about the concept of literacy. It refers to the total number of people above the age of 7 who can read, write, and understand. When we say a region has a high literacy rate, it generally indicates that it's a more developed area. For example, Kerala has the highest literacy rate, which was 94% in 2017-2018. That means almost everyone above 7 in Kerala can read and write. On the other hand, Bihar had the lowest literacy rate during that period, at 62%. Now, the formula for literacy rate is quite simple. It's the number of literates divided by the total population, multiplied by 100 to get a percentage. This rate gives us a clear picture of how well-educated a population is. So, understanding literacy rates helps us gauge the overall development of a state or country. It's a crucial indicator in our broader discussion of social progress. Let's take a closer look at infant mortality rate, which is a crucial indicator of a country's health system. It refers to the total number of children who die before reaching 1 year of age per 1,000 live births in a given year. Essentially, it shows us how effective a country's healthcare facilities are in ensuring the survival of its youngest citizens. For example, in India, there's quite a variation across states. Kerala, known for its strong healthcare system, has the lowest infant mortality rate at just 7 in 2018. On the other hand, Bihar faces significant challenges, with a much higher rate of 32 in the same year. This variation highlights the importance of healthcare quality and accessibility in reducing infant mortality. Improving these factors is key to enhancing overall child health outcomes, which ties directly into our broader discussion on health infrastructure and social development. Public facilities play a major role in the development of our country. When I talk about public facilities, I mean those services and infrastructure provided by the government that help us live better lives. This includes things like schools, transportation systems, electricity supply, hospitals, residences, and community halls. These facilities are essential because, quite simply, we cannot purchase or build all of these things on our own. They are a collective resource that benefits everyone. Think about it, without proper schools or hospitals, our community's growth and health would be severely impacted. Transportation makes it easier for people to commute to work or school, boosting the economy and improving access. Electricity powers our homes and businesses, enabling us to work efficiently and stay connected. So, the key idea here is that public facilities are vital for social and economic development. They are a shared responsibility of the government because they serve the public interest. And understanding their importance helps us appreciate how collective efforts contribute to building a better society. Welcome to Slide 15. Today, I want to highlight a very important aspect of Kerala's success in reducing infant mortality. As you can see, Kerala has a notably low infant mortality rate. This is largely because of the good provision of basic health and educational facilities across the state. Having access to quality health care means that mothers and infants receive timely and adequate medical attention. Similarly, good educational facilities help in spreading awareness about health practices and sanitation. This combination creates a healthier environment for infants and contributes to lower mortality rates. It's a clear example of how investing in fundamental social services can lead to tangible improvements in public health. And this ties into our broader theme, developing sustainable, inclusive progress through effective resource allocation. So, Kerala's experience shows us that robust health and education infrastructure are key drivers of social development. Let's take a closer look at the Human Development Index, or HDI, and how it helps us understand development levels across countries. The United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP, is responsible for preparing this index, which is updated annually with a comprehensive report on human development. Now, if we look at India's position in the world, its HDI rank is 131. That gives us a sense of where India stands globally in terms of development. Interestingly, Sri Lanka has a higher HDI than India, indicating better overall development indicators. The HDI considers several key parameters. These include the infant mortality rate, which reflects healthcare quality and living conditions, literacy rate, showing education levels, and net attendance ratio, indicating school participation. Another important factor is the body mass index, or BMI. This is used to measure body fat and overall nutritional status. BMI is calculated by taking a person's weight in kilograms and dividing it by the square of their height in meters. It's a simple yet valuable indicator of health. So, in summary, the HDI combines these various parameters to give us a more holistic view of human development, moving beyond just economic measures. It helps us understand the quality of life and well-being in different countries, which ties into our overall theme of assessing development and progress. Welcome to our discussion on sustainable development. As we see here, it's about creating progress that meets all the needs of today's generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's a balance between growth and environmental care. Now, you might have heard of the famous mantra, reduce, reuse, and recycle. These are not just waste management tips. They are strategies to conserve energy and resources, acting as alternative sources of energy themselves. By reducing consumption, reusing materials, and recycling waste, we lessen our reliance on non-renewable resources. Speaking of resources, sustainable development emphasizes developing our nation without harming the environment. It's about making sure our development is eco-friendly, so we preserve the planet's health. To achieve this, we also need to use non-renewable resources, like carbon-based fuels, very wisely. These resources are finite, so our consumption must be judicious and efficient. On the other hand, some resources, like groundwater, are renewable. As long as we manage their use responsibly, they can replenish naturally and sustain us over the long term. In essence, sustainable development is about the judicious use of all resources, renewable and non-renewable, to ensure progress without environmental degradation. It's about making smart, conscious choices that support both our needs and the health of our planet. As we look at the growing population and water demand, it's clear that more people mean more need for water. However, not everyone has equal access to this precious resource, which creates significant challenges. Next, let's consider the overuse of water for farming. Farmers often use large amounts of water, especially through irrigation, to grow enough food. During dry seasons, this overuse becomes even more problematic, putting additional stress on our water resources. In urban areas, many housing societies and colonies rely on their own groundwater pumps to meet daily water needs. While this might seem convenient, it contributes heavily to groundwater overexploitation. Groundwater is a highly overused resource, and this is due to several interconnected reasons. Overpumping for agriculture, urban use, and even industrial activities all play a role. It's crucial to understand these factors because they threaten the sustainability of our water sources, making it a key issue to address in our overall water conservation efforts. Now, let's take a closer look at the differences between renewable and non-renewable resources. Starting with definitions, renewable resources are those that can be naturally replenished over time. Think of resources like solar energy, wind, water, forests, and biomass. They're constantly being renewed, so we can rely on them repeatedly. On the other hand, non-renewable resources are quite different. These are resources that cannot be replaced easily. They take millions of years to form, like coal, petroleum, natural gas, and minerals. Once we use them up, they're gone for good, or at least for a very long time. When it comes to availability, renewable resources are essentially unlimited or can be restored naturally, which makes them a sustainable choice. Non-renewable resources, however, are limited. If we overuse them, they can be exhausted, which poses significant challenges for future generations. Environmental impact is another key point. Renewable resources are generally eco-friendly because their use causes less pollution and harms the environment less. Conversely, non-renewable resources often cause pollution and environmental degradation during extraction and use. Finally, regarding usage, renewable resources can be used repeatedly without depletion. They offer a sustainable option for ongoing energy needs. Non-renewable resources, however, once used, take a long time to regenerate, meaning we need to be cautious about how we consume them. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding these differences helps us make informed choices about resource management and sustainability for a better future. Let's take a closer look at this comparison between the UNDP and the World Bank. The UNDP uses a broader approach to measuring development by considering factors like education, health, and per capita income. This means they're looking at multiple dimensions that contribute to a country's overall well-being. On the other hand, the World Bank primarily focuses on per capita income as its key indicator for comparison. This approach is a bit narrower, focusing mainly on economic output per person to gauge development levels. Because of these different perspectives, the UNDP's concept of development is considered more comprehensive. It captures social and human development aspects. The World Bank's view is more focused on economic growth alone. Additionally, these organizations rank countries based on their criteria. The UNDP often classifies countries into categories like developing, middle income, and developed. The World Bank, meanwhile, categorizes countries into groups such as rich, middle, and poor. Understanding these differences helps us see how development is measured and what aspects are prioritized, which is essential as we analyze global progress and disparities. Let's take a closer look at the differences between basic, developed, and developing countries. Starting with the definition, basic countries are those that have an effective rate of industrialization and higher individual income levels. In contrast, developing countries tend to have slower rates of industrialization and lower per capita income. When we talk about their status, basic countries are generally independent, meaning they have more control over their own economic policies. Developing countries, however, are often dependent on other nations or external factors. In terms of resources, basic countries effectively utilize their available resources, leading to more efficient economic activities. Developing countries, on the other hand, often struggle with utilizing their resources effectively, which can hinder growth. Looking at literacy rates, basic countries tend to have high literacy levels, supporting a more skilled workforce. Developing countries usually face challenges with low literacy rates, affecting their overall development. When it comes to poverty and unemployment, basic countries generally experience lower levels, while developing nations often face high poverty and unemployment rates, which are key barriers to progress. The Human Development Index, or HDI, reflects these differences as well, higher in basic countries and lower in developing ones. The same pattern applies to GDP. Basic countries have high GDP levels, indicating stronger economic activity, whereas developing countries tend to have lower GDP figures. Finally, the distribution of income is more equal in basic countries, promoting social stability, while developing countries often face significant income inequality, which can lead to social disparities. Overall, these points highlight the critical differences in economic and social indicators that define the level of development of a country, helping us understand where countries stand on the path toward progress.